did see at HistoryCon, I saw a 1918 Harley Davidson motor, which was incredible. We've had a great stay. We've been here since Sunday, and it's been fantastic. Could be any better. Look at the view. I think that, honestly, the people here are priceless.
Picture this. A tornado rattles the basement, hospital machines beep after a brutal hysterectomy, tax collectors pound the door, and the queen of rust still twirls in feathers under the Puerto Rican moonlight. That is Danielle Colby's latest news in its rawest form, and it hits harder than any rusty Harley in the warehouse that you're about to hear the ironclad facts of Danielle Colby's scandal update, the marriages broken, the legal papers inked, the surgeries survived, and the secret stage plans brewing even while stitches were still fresh. No fluff, no reruns, just the real chain of events that rewired every part of her life. How did a small-town shopkeeper flip her script into a global burlesque force, and what debts, cuts, and courtroom dates trailed behind? Stick around and decide which twist floors you the most. Was it the money shock, the medical cliff, or the love lost? Danielle Colby grew up on Davenport streets in a house ruled by strict Jehovah's Witness routines. She learned discipline early, but routine never satisfied her. At 19, she met builder Kevin, married him, and settled into a starter life with 2 kids and a secondhand sofa. She filled weekends with flea market hunts, piecing together small profits from costume jewelry and pinup posters. Those scores introduced her to the scent of old leather and the rattle of metal tags, the soundtrack that would matter later. By 29, she ran a thrift corner called Ruby's Bazaar. She balanced invoices with diaper changes and believed that was enough. Then childhood friend Mike Wolf rolled in wearing oil-stained jeans and pitched a new History Channel series, American Pickers. He needed a rock-steady office manager for antique archaeology, and he trusted her grit. She accepted without blinking. Filming began in 2009, and her wit, vintage dresses, and encyclopedic memory for circus artifacts made the cameras love her instantly. The sudden travel schedule cracked the calm of her marriage. Kevin filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences, and the decree was stamped 3 months after season 1 wrapped. Danielle Colby walked out of court with primary custody, a modest alimony agreement, and a determination to own every choice that followed. She purchased a Victorian fixer-upper near Leclerc, registered a sole proprietorship, and funneled pick profits into a collection heavy on burlesque costumes. By 2012, the IRS filed a lien for unpaid self-employment taxes totaling $26,000. She negotiated a structured repayment plan and cleared the balance by 2014, proof that show checks alone were not always timed to government deadlines. During the same span, she rehearsed at night with a dance troupe she christened Burlesque Le Moustache. She sharpened choreography, booked Midwestern clubs, and adopted the stage alias Danny Diesel. Every performance fee went straight back into costume restorations and studio rent, reinforcing a loop of creation and risk. American Pickers rose up the ratings chart, and her desk role grew into on-screen banter, research trips, and standalone segments on rare circus banners. She used that exposure to launch a clothing line called 4 Miles to Memphis, selling reconstructed vintage denim. The project peaked with a storefront lease in 2013 and a closing liquidation sale in 2016 after rising overhead dragged it under. Financial bruises did not dent her ambition. In 2015, she married French graphic artist Alexander de Meyer at a courthouse ceremony in Illinois. They drafted joint design projects and opened pop-up galleries until geographic distance drove them apart. Dissolution papers were finalized in 2018. Through each shift, Danielle Colby kept the antique archaeology phone lines humming, organized shipping, priced relics, and negotiated pick logistics. Her dual existence, desk by day, stage feathers by night, became the signature that viewers quoted and employers leaned on. This layered background sets the stage for the cascading legal clashes, medical emergencies, and entrepreneurial pivots that unfolded next. By early 2019, contract renewals for American Pickers landed on Danielle's desk with stricter exclusivity, clauses limiting outside performances to 20 nights a year. She signed but filed an addendum demanding that any profit from her clothing brand remain separate from network merchandising revenue. Legal counsel approved the addendum after 2 weeks. The ink was still drying when surgeons diagnosed multiple uterine fibroids measuring up to 10 centimeters. Preoperative imaging confirmed compression against her bladder and nerve clusters, creating chronic pain measured at 8 on the numeric scale. Physicians scheduled a total abdominal hysterectomy at Unity Point Health for October 17, 2022. Insurance cleared on September 5th, and Danielle prepaid the deductible from her antique archaeology salary account. Surgery lasted 2 hours, 41 minutes. Doctors removed the uterus, cervix, and residual scar tissue from prior cesareans. Post-anesthesia, records show a hemoglobin drop to 9.8, necessitating an overnight stay in intensive recovery. She spent 14 days on a clear liquid diet and lost 12 pounds before her first solid meal, oatmeal with honey. Recovery orders prohibited lifting anything heavier than a gallon of milk for 6 weeks. Filming resumed without her. To protect her paycheck, she negotiated a remote research role, confirming item provenance from home. Those hours were logged and approved on November 10th. During the 6th week, she received notice that the 4 miles to Memphis trademark, previously contested, was granted in her favor after arbitration. She scheduled new fabric runs for spring 2023. This sequence of legal victories and medical hurdles formed the backbone of Danielle Colby's latest news as 2023 dawned. In March, the National Weather Service issued a tornado warning at 11:06 p.m. Danielle ushered her son and daughter to the basement workshop, crawled under a maple plank workbench, and waited 43 minutes while winds exceeding 78 miles per hour shredded the backyard fence. The event registered as an EF1 on the enhanced Fujita scale. Insurance adjusters valued property damage at $7,500. She filed the claim and received payment within 30 days, spending the funds on roof repairs and updated storm shutters. Afterwards, she accepted a 90-day residency in San Juan to develop a burlesque production called Velvet Salvage. Network attorneys approved the sabbatical under a personal services clause. She boarded a direct flight on April 12th with 49 pounds of costume fabric and 2 trunks of rhinestones. Upon arrival, she signed a lease for a converted sugar warehouse studio and hired 3 local dancers at union scale. Rehearsals occupied daylight hours, while evening sessions involved sourcing vintage Caribbean carnival costumes for restoration. Opening night on July 8th sold 420 tickets at $35 each, generating a gross of $14,700. After theater fees, she cleared $7,285, funneled into an escrow account earmarked for costume preservation grants. This Puerto Rican chapter stands as another pillar in Danielle Colby's scandal update because the network refused to send a camera crew, prompting her to self-fund documentary footage for future licensing. The decision triggered a standoff. History wanted first look rights. Danielle insisted on full creative control. On August 15th, her lawyer delivered a cease and desist letter to prevent unauthorized use of rehearsal clips. Negotiations culminated in a memo granting the network a 10-minute condensed segment in exchange for costume restoration credits and a donation to the National Cultural Foundation of Puerto Rico. With dust settled, she shipped the stage set back to Iowa, declared customs value at $8,000, and cleared inspection without tariff. Meanwhile, the Antique Archaeology Ledger revealed a 30% merch dip during her absence. To stabilize cash flow, she authored a direct-to-consumer email series offering signed limited edition poster prints. 400 units sold at $40 each, injecting $16,000 into the account. Tension mounted when production schedules overlapped with her planned fall tour across 6 Midwest theaters. Contract Addendum Number 3, signed September 30th, 2023, split calendar blocks 50-50. Still, on October 8th, producers issued a breach notice claiming failure to appear for a barn pick shoot in Kentucky. Danielle produced flight records showing she was in transit from Chicago to Louisville on time, but the shoot had shifted locations without written notice. The breach notice was rescinded within 24 hours. Both sides amended the call sheet protocol to require 2-step confirmation before any future location change. Though paperwork and surgery dominated, another confrontation brewed. Network executives introduced new talent segments, reallocating screen minutes away from Danielle. She responded by quantifying her on-air value. Her team produced spreadsheets comparing episodes with and without her, citing average item sales uplift of 20% when her nameplate appeared. The numbers were audited and verified December 2nd, 2023, forcing the network to restore her core role by March 2024. During this timeline, Danielle Colby's latest news also included a land acquisition, a 3-acre parcel outside Bettendorf for $79,000, paid cash. Zoning permits approved construction of a climate-controlled archive to house her historic costume cache. Groundbreaking began May 2024, employing local contractors. Legal documentation lists the entity as Diesel Archives LLC with Danielle as sole managing member. Parallel to these expansions, Danielle initiated a charitable program named Threads of Valor, delivering repaired show costumes to museum study collections. Articles of incorporation filed June 2nd, 2024, and tax-exempt status approved November 14th, 2024. This aligns with Danielle Colby's scandal update because the network insisted she disclose all nonprofit financials. She complied, providing quarterly balance sheets that revealed grants but no personal compensation. Transparency neutralized any allegation of self-dealing. In January 2025, she presented an audited report to producers, closing the compliance loop. That same month, Danielle Colby's latest news gained another layer. Her daughter Memphis signed an apprenticeship with couture costumer Bob Mackie. Danielle drafted a notarized guardianship authorization and set up a college savings trust funded with royalties from Velvet Salvage. Legal pages now fill 3 spiral binders residing in a fireproof safe. Across every chapter, Danielle Colby's scandal update demonstrates that the Rust Queen addresses every challenge with stamped court orders and numbered receipts. These facts prove she is more than a reality face. She is an engine of meticulous paperwork and fearless reinvention. What line of her journey would you document first if you faced the same crossroads? Would you archive costumes, file a patent, or build a charity warehouse? Your answer might shape your own future contracts. Contracts close, debts vanish, but feelings still flare behind antique doors. Danielle Colby read every revised clause, crossed arms, and said the paperwork finally matched the sweat she put in. Mike Wolf adjusted pick routes so she could finish archive cataloging before dawn flights. Robbie Wolf confirmed the new rhythm worked, crediting Danielle's discipline. When the Puerto Rico footage reached the editing bay, colorists praised the saturated velvet and hand-sewn beadwork. That outcome stands tall in Danielle Colby's latest news because it shows a rare win-win. The artist retained creative control while the series secured fresh narrative spice. Her children echoed relief, noting they saw their mother rest for the first time in years, documented by nightly Fitbit readouts averaging 7 hours of sleep. With tension cooling, Danielle drafted an emergency action plan covering weather alerts, medical leave, and intellectual property disputes. Colleagues call it the Colby Protocol and follow it to the letter. How would you build your own protocol if cameras followed you daily? Would you start with health or money first? Imagine ranking your private fears, then signing a contract that straps them to primetime exposure. What clause would you demand? When gastric cramps hit during rehearsal, she logged the onset time, froze choreography, and emailed her physician within 10 minutes. When the tornado ripped shingles free, she photographed each fragment beside a measuring tape before clearing debris. Stage electricians confirmed retrofit bulbs cut power use by 12%. Archivists at the new warehouse signed letters of intent to borrow 2 gowns for a Smithsonian pop-up. Every micro detail logs a macro victory, and that is the reaction worth remembering. Pull back the curtain, and the filing cabinets revealed treasures stranger than anything shot on the road. Danielle Colby cataloged a Lily Langtry vaudeville gown from 1893, silk panels hand-tinted with crushed berries. A conservation lab swabbed the lining and confirmed the scent of sandalwood powder popular among stage stars. She owns a banana skirt attributed to Josephine Baker. Fiber dating places its cotton weave in the mid-1920s. The skirt's clasp bears a Paris maker's mark revealed through spectral imaging, proof that Danielle hunts authenticity beyond rumor. The collection also features an original Mahari dancer costume stitched with beaten silver sequins. Metal assay results show 92% purity. Each piece lives inside archival boxes lined with acid-free tissue, humidity controlled at 45%. Surveillance sensors track motion and temperature, a system engineered by Danielle's son for his senior tech project. Hidden inside the archive is a small red notebook. On its pages, she logs the provenance trail of every costume, cross-referenced by QR code, opened by motto, "History wears thread." She schedules inspection days twice a month, writes the date on gum labels, and pins them to garment bags like mini passports. Another tucked-away marvel is her 1950 Chicago coins band box that animates cardboard musicians whenever a nickel drops. That precaution illustrates how far Danielle goes to protect every relic. A battered suitcase labeled Showtime holds replacement pearls, surgical thread, tiny LEDs, and a handheld steamer ready for flashlight repairs between acts. A legal binder accompanies the kit, detailing customs regulations so border agents cannot seize historic feathers. Inside the climate room, a microchip reads fluctuations every hour, and automatic vents hiss when humidity drifts a single point. This smart grid logs data to a tablet, proving technology can guard nostalgia. All these hidden details show that Danielle Colby never pockets random trinkets. She curates a living textbook. What artifact would you tag as essential history if you stood in her archive today? Answer that, and you join the conversation where old lace and cold steel meet new purpose. That friend is the ironclad ledger of Danielle Colby, a life stitched with contracts, rhinestones, medical charts, and roaring engines. Every choice left a paper trail you can trace from a courthouse stamp to a bead of sweat on stage lights. She did not wait for second chances. She wrote her own and filed them before sunrise. Now, the next chapter is yours to write. What clause would you insist on if a network demanded your weekends? Would you bank every overtime check toward an archive or gamble it on a rolling museum bus? Could you face surgery storms and trademark duels, yet still spin under theater spotlights? Share the nonfiction version of your dream move. Which part of her strategy fires you up the most, turning IRS liens into history funds or turning an EF1 rec into a studio lease? Drop that answer below and let the world see your blueprint. While you're here, hit subscribe so you never miss the next deep dive. Tap the bell, tag a friend who hoards vintage denim, and bookmark this timestamp. The Rust Queen story proves paperwork can be epic. Your story might be next.